So let's move on to discounted payback period. Discounted payback period. Discounted payback period. So you see why it's important to understand this interpretation. Because candidates are at the point of making decisions. Nowadays, these things you are learning here on the board, the computers will give you the answers. You just key in the figures, you get the PI, you get the NPV. This can be done by computers. Okay? So what is required now is interpretation. So Erika, you may have a challenge at the point computing this, but you see, in practice, the computations are done by machines. The computations done by machines. Computer will give you the PI. But how you interpret is what matters most. Discounted payback period. Discounted payback period. Discounted payback period. When you are analyzing the non-discounted techniques, non-discounted capital budgeting techniques, one of them is the payback period technique. Today we want to learn how to use this technique in decision making. And the discounted payback period is an improvement over the payback period method in the sense that it takes time value of money into account and discounts all the future cash flows or payments into a present value using the cost of capital as a discount rate. So that's the main difference between the discounted cash flow, the discounted payback period and the payback period. It is an improvement over the payback period. One disadvantage of the payback period is that it does not take into account the time value of money, the payback period. But the discounted payback period takes time value of money into account. Takes time value of money into account. How? By discounting the cash flows. So we first of all discount the cash flows. Then we use the same method as when the cash flows are not discounted. So the only difference here is that the cash flows in discounted cash flows are discounted. Illustration. Illustrate. Let's illustrate. Consider the following cash flows of a farm. Those are 6 periods. Using 10% discount rate, determine the payback period. Using 10% discount rate. So we have how many years there? 6 years. Illustration. Years. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Cash flows 20, 40, 35. $35, $35, $35, $35. These are the cash flows. 35, 35, 35. So we have the discounting rate. We are given the discounting rate. So give me the present value interest factor 10%, N 0.0.0.0.0. This we had done at 10%. We had done this 10%. Did we do 10%? It was 20%. 1991. 2, 8264, 3, 7513, 4, 6830, 7, 5, 6209, 6209, 6, 5645. Then what are the present values? Multiply the factor by the cash flows. Let's have the present values. Year 1, 181, 82. 330, 56. Third year, 262, 262.95, 262.96. Round off to the nearest shilling. Round off to the nearest shilling. 23,905. 21,732. 6, 19,758. Confirm. Is that accurate? Can we proceed to accumulate the discounted cash flows? We accumulate the discounted cash flows. So take payback period is the period that it the project will take to recover the initial investment. What is the initial investment? The initial investment is 100,000. 100,000 is what is invested. That is the initial investment. How long does it take, or is it going to take the company to recover or to recoup this initial investment. At the end of year 1, the project will generate cash flows in present terms amounting to 181.82. That is at the end of year 1. At the end of year 2, it will be 181.82 plus 33,056. What is the total? Cumulate until we recoup the 100,000. This is only 18,182 at the end of year 1. 51 to 38. 51 to 38. At the end of year 3, we'll add what we have for the 2 years, we add what we have for the third year. Third year, 77,534. 77,534. That is at the end of year 3, the company will realize 77,534 from the 100,000. So at the end of year 3, the company has not yet recouped all the 100,000. Cumulate year 4. Year 4, 101,439. 101,439. It has exceeded the 100,000. So the payback period, discounted payback period, because these cash flows are discounted. The discounted payback period, will be equal to the 3 years. 3 years. So this amount will be recouped after 3 years and some months. So exactly after 3 years, the company will recoup 77,534. Meaning that there is a balance. If you are to deduct the 77,534 from this 100, what is the balance? What is the balance there? Which will be recouped from year 4. Muslima says 22,466. The balance here is 22,466. So the 22,466 will be recovered from the cash flows for year 4. The cash flows for year 4 are 23,905. So you are going to get the amount which we have. This is the amount. So this 22,466 will be recovered after how many months? Because the whole year, year 4, the cash flow is 23,905. This 23,905 represents 12 months. Therefore, the balance, this 22,466 represents how many months? The 23,905 will be recovered in a total of 12 months. But for us to recover the whole 100,000, we need the amount that will be recovered after the third year, which is 77,535, plus a portion of the amount that will be recovered in year 4. So we are going to get the months by getting this reciprocal, which is 22,466. We divide by 23,905 times 12 months, or months times 12 months. So how many months do we get? This is a fraction of the 12. How many months? So this is 3.94 years. 3.94 years. So if you are using years, then you change this to 1. Change this to 1, the ratio, multiply by the year. So 23,905 represents 1 year. So 22,466 will be how many years? Multiply this by 1. So I think that's how you are getting the, is it 0.94? But this 0.94, you can also convert it into months and days. So, but this is sufficient. The discounted payback period is 3.94 years. 3.94 years. But that can be converted into months. This 0.4 years. 1 year is equivalent to 12 months. Therefore, 0.94 years will be equal to 0.94 years divided by 1 year times 12. This will give you the number of months. Is it 11 point something? But 3.94 is good enough. So that is a discounted payback period.